If you've recently become interested in performing Baroque music in a historically accurate fashion and doing what we call performance practice, you may find yourself, especially if you're a student, considering if you should switch over fully to being a Baroque instrumentalist or if you should stay playing modern or what you should do to have a mix of the two. This is something I'm asked about a lot because I'm really predominantly a Baroque cellist, which is kind of a rare thing to see, as most of the time people are doubling in both modern and Baroque playing. Your career will look a little differently depending on which you choose to do. And I'll give a full disclaimer here. When I was in school and I was an undergrad and I knew that I wanted to switch over to Baroque cello, I was told by a lot of my advisors and faculty that there was no way to make a living on just Baroque cello and that I had to do both. People have a hard enough time making a career as it is, and that I shouldn't limit myself. I obviously didn't take that advice fully, but I do have some ways that modern cello still plays into my career, and I think the most important thing is figuring out what your personal balance is and what makes you feel artistically fulfilled and also balances your financial goals. If you still enjoy playing modern cello in some capacity, there's really no reason to throw it away. I think you're going to find, based on gigs, based on opportunities, your balance will change a lot. If you get a big gig playing a Baroque Messiah and you're playing on your Baroque setup for weeks and weeks, you might not have as much time for modern cello. But once Messiah season's over, and wedding season comes around, maybe you'll be playing your modern instrument more. You have to kind of decide for yourself, whether it's Baroque or modern or just different kinds of gigs, what you want your career to look like. I'm a little bit of a unique situation because when I found Baroque cello, I didn't really want to deal with modern cello at all anymore. It was a very extreme reaction. I was sort of falling out of love with the modern cello at the time, so the Baroque cello to me was all I wanted to do. But because I really enjoyed teaching and I like teaching private lessons, it made a lot of sense for me to still teach modern cello because obviously there are not a lot of people, especially kids, taking lessons on Baroque instruments, and by keeping modern cello around, that allowed me to be a private teacher to lots of students. And that's ended up being beneficial for me because it's been a nice, healthy way for me to keep playing modern cello that doesn't have the same kinds of pressures as it did when I was in college. So for me, pretty much all my performing is on my Baroque cello, but my teaching can still be on modern cello. That being said, it does limit the kinds of gigs that I get, and currently I'm living in Boston where there are lots of people that play on Baroque instruments. But if you're in a city that doesn't have as much of a Baroque scene, you might find that you have no local gigs if you limit yourself to just playing in the Baroque style. I think a lot of musicians rely on kind of quick, easy gig money, things like wedding gigs where you might play in a string quartet, or other things where musicians are just needed for hire. You can show up on the day of, play something easy and leave. That's typically something you're going to do on modern instruments. So if you like having those kind of gigs, you want to keep your modern instrument around for that purpose. You might decide that maybe for serious musical gigs you want to stick to period instruments, and then for easy casual gigs and teaching, still play modern. It's really up to you for what you find fulfilling. If you find yourself missing playing large romantic symphonies, then maybe you should keep modern cello in your life. There's really no reason to make a strong divide of I'm this or I'm that. It's all about finding your own personal balance. I've also made a lot of my opportunities through doing things like YouTube and Instagram and sharing my playing and getting it out there. But if you're not someone who's as tech savvy or you don't like doing social media as much, you're also going to be a little bit more limited in what your opportunities are. So just bear in mind that if you cut modern playing out of your life, you are going to cut away some opportunities. I know for me, I said I never wanted to perform modern cello, and for the last 5 years or so of being a professional, I've only been performing on Baroque cello. And I've made that work in other ways, like I've done even events and gigs like that and pitched it as we're historical instruments, so we're great for elegant parties, we're great for things that have some sort of historical flair because we're playing on historical instruments. There are ways to get creative and be able to still play your Baroque instrument in other settings. I told myself I wasn't going to play modern cello for anything really, but now I'm considering, some new options for myself, like maybe doing some studio work or playing for people who need cello in a different medium than classical. I'm just expanding, what I might like to do for work, and I think we always have to be reevaluating that and deciding, is my work satisfying? Do I feel artistically happy with what's going on? That's something that you have to be thinking about constantly as a professional musician. School is an environment where you do have to make decisions whether you're going to be a Baroque music or an early music major, or you're going to be a regular, classical major. Those are, of course, decisions you have to make for educational purposes, but just know that once you're in the professional world, everything is up to you and you can decide how you want to balance these things. No matter what, being a musician is a lot about making your own opportunities, so whether that's on modern or Baroque, you're always going to have to be sort of thinking outside of the box and finding a way to get your playing out there in whatever way you choose. If you have any thoughts or suggestions or want to tell your story about choosing to be a full-time Baroque player or choosing to balance it with modern playing, I'd love to hear from you and hear some of your feedback and suggestions. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to subscribe to my channel and check out some of my other videos. And if you'd like to help support me, you can become my patron on Patreon. Thanks for watching.